Welcome everyone for what I hope is a really useful and interesting session for you. This one is hoping to give you some more practical information about the Postgraduate Advanced Certificate in Educational Studies. Um, Focusing a little bit more than the previous drop-in session that we ran a couple of months ago, focusing a little bit more on the application process and the sorts of things to include in your application. So hopefully it will be a useful session to give you a little bit of direction for the application process. And as ever, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions as we go along. So if you do have any questions for anything that I'm talking about, you can use the chat function to ask your questions, and I can get to them after the presentation. There'll also potentially be an opportunity for you to ask questions in the room using the hand up function as well, and I'll prompt you to do that after the presentation. A quick introduction to me for anyone who doesn't know who I am. My name is Simon Child. I'm the head of assessment training at the Cambridge Assessment Network. I'm also the co-course director of the Postgraduate Certificate in Educational Assessment that we run in collaboration with the Faculty of Education at the University of Cambridge. So in this session, I'll give you a quick introduction to the course and some of its key features, and then I'll drill down into some of the detail about the application process, and then there'll be an opportunity for questions. So a very quick overview about the course itself. So as I mentioned before, it's a collaboration between Cambridge University Press and Assessment and the Faculty of Education. The certification that you have for the course is through the Faculty of Education. So it's a University of Cambridge qualification through what's known as the Practical Professional Development Scheme. It's a 15-month course, and it's due to begin in late September 24 and finish in December 25. This is part-time, so there's an expectation that during the contact weeks you would be working for about maybe 6 hours a week, and it's exclusively online. So there is no need to travel to Cambridge for any of the day schools or the sessions that we run. You can access the course completely remotely wherever you happen to be in the world. It's half a master's, so it's master's level 7 in our qualifications framework, and it's worth 90 credits, which is the equivalent of half a master's. There is an opportunity through the University of Cambridge to get the final 90 credits for a full master's through a variety of different options that we have. And completion of this course allows eligibility to apply for those individual courses. So if you're interested in achieving a full master's at some point in your learning journey, this course can help you on the way to that as a bridging qualification. In terms of who completes the course, we've got a variety of different practitioner groups, so teachers, members of examination boards, university staff, essentially wherever good quality assessment is imperative to the success of either an organisation or to learners. Wherever assessment is done and needs to be done well, those are the types of people that come to interact with us and become students on the course itself. And because the course is entirely remote, it is open to international student applications, and the application deadline is the 10th of July. And in this presentation, I'll go through some of the key details about the application process. So in terms of learning outcomes, on the course, you'll develop a range of skills and knowledge specific to educational assessment, assessment for learning, and so on. But you'll also pick up a number of broader research-based and 21st century skills as part of the course as well, at very in-depth and sophisticated level. So what we hope that the course helps you achieve is a number of different things. So status within your organization, the confidence to speak out about what's going on within your professional life and practice, and also pick up key skills that will help you throughout your career, both in the moment and also in the future as well. So to support this, we have a number of learning outcomes that will help you achieve this process. So we want you to achieve an in-depth understanding of key concepts and issues related to educational assessment. And also this idea of developing your critical and reflective approach to some of the challenges within your professional organization. That's a really key part of this course. We also encourage you to develop your skills in data collection and understanding of theoretical perspectives in order to make what we call new insights. So this is the idea of reflecting on your own practice, coming up with a hypothesis for how practice can change within your organization, conducting some research in relation to that particular issue, which is of a higher quality but on a small scale, and then reflecting that back into your own practice. So it's almost like a reflective cycle that we try to encourage throughout the course, um, through the content and through the assignments. As part of this is the idea of understanding research methods and the process of research inquiry, which we think is a fundamental skill to almost all professional practice in one way or another. And then finally, you'll develop your skills in planning, organization, and academic writing at the master's level. Many of you, of course, will have undergraduate degrees, and in some ways that shows that you've got the potential for master's level study. Obviously, it's a master's level qualification, so there is a kind of an increased level of sophistication of academic thinking and writing. And the course itself, whilst being at an ancient university like the University of Cambridge, it's very forward-looking, and I think that's one of the things that I wanted to emphasise on this slide. Things like accessibility, fairness in assessment, and related to the future of assessment, as this slide shows in relation to artificial intelligence. We try and build in some of those themes and ideas throughout the course content. So these are just some examples of the setting up the challenge of what AI in the future will be, and the implications for that in terms of validity, reliability, bias, and those sorts of topics that are very important within the educational assessment context. And we'll talk about these sorts of issues in relation to things like trust in the educational system, particularly in trust in educational assessment as a sub area within broader education. But we'll also look at some of the solutions that are available out there and reflect on them in relation to some of the key principles of assessment in a lot of depth. So validity, reliability, fairness, and so on. Here are some quotations from some of our former students in terms of what they've got from the course. So one of the things that they talk about in the feedback is the idea of having more confidence in dealing with some of the technical issues that they're presented with in their day-to-day work. And this could be if you're working for an awarding organization or an assessment testing someone that's working on developing summative assessments. But this particular quotation comes from a school context. So trying to explain some of these ideas in relation to assessment for learning to teachers and to other colleagues in a way that is explainable and understandable for them. The second quotation talks about the idea of looking at assessments from a different angle. So looking at some of the key ideas in relation to validity and assessment literacy and building that expertise within their wider teaching community. The third quotation talks about confidence again, so better equipped to with the skills needed to influence change within their organization. So this is one of the things that we're actually most proud of on this particular course, is that the individuals themselves, through gaining the postgraduate qualification, feel that they are the almost the go-to person within their organization. So they become the kind of thought leader in terms of in uh, applying change within their organization. I think that's a really cool part of the actual course. And similarly, for the final quotation here, that someone's been able to make a switch from being a general practitioner, if you like, in their educational context, to becoming that assessment expert. So that is an option that students or former students have taken in the past as well. In terms of the structure of the overall course, so there are 4 online day schools that are run across the course, mostly attached to individual modules within the course content. So the first one in this year is the 4th of October, and there's some in February and the 6th of September as well the following year. For each of the units, there is an assignment for each. You'll notice here in this slide for Unit 2 there are two options, so option A and option B. You make an initial decision at the application stage which unit you think might be most appropriate for you in your professional context. That can change. You haven't declared it fully. You can change your mind if and when you would like to, up to when the unit starts. Overall, even though it's a 15-month course, there are 32 contact weeks. So these would be 10 weeks for Unit 1, 12 weeks for Unit 2, and a further 10 weeks for Unit 3. And in amongst those weeks, there's a mixture of content that's supplied on the virtual learning environment. There are individual webinars, so 12 webinars in total that take place interspersed across the course content. And there's various activities, reflection activities, forums, and so on to help you keep in touch with your fellow students. And as part of the course as well, you would have full library access. We have a dedicated librarian team that is willing and able to support you in terms of any kind of references or research that you want to get access to that you currently don't have access to for whatever reason. So that's a really powerful resource that you're able to take advantage of throughout the course itself. So if I've convinced you that this course is something that you'd be interested in taking part in and joining us on the program at the University of Cambridge, I wanted to give you some information at this stage about how to go about the application process. So some of this will just be general information, but it will be sort of key tricks and thoughts to have in mind as you're putting your application together. And my colleagues just put the link to the portal there for you in case you want to have a look directly at the portal itself. So you can see here that the application deadline is the 24th of July. So the first thing that you need to do is register an account on the Faculty of Education portal, and then you can save your application as and when you're building up the materials and so on that you need to collect as part of your application process. So things to have to hand ready for your application to submit as part of it would be um, the supporting documents that you require. So this would be information, for example, about the two referees that you would have as part of the application process. If you have an undergraduate degree, if you have a qualification transcript or a certificate for that degree, that would be useful to include. Um, it's not always the case, but if you're an international student, a copy of your passport would be useful to include. And also, you'll be requested to have a personal statement as well, which is part of the application process. We usually recommend that the personal statement is around 500 words. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in the next few slides about what information to include. So this is just a screenshot of the application portal. Now, one thing to note here is that in addition to the various bits of detail that you would include as part of the application, because the course is completely remote and online delivered, there's no requirement for immigration permission to study in the UK. So I think there's a statement that asks whether you have permission to study in the UK or not. You can essentially ignore that question because of the fact that it's entirely remote. So that was just a point of information for anyone looking through the portal. So in the application form, particularly in the personal statement, so I would give as much information as you can about these things in your personal statement. We would like you to demonstrate the following things. So the first one is that you've got some experience working in an assessment or an educational setting, and to outline what that experience is. We would also like to know about your motivation to use the learning as you interpret it from the course in your professional practice, because one of the things that we're trying to encourage within the program, within the course itself, is that what you take from the course will be applied in your professional context, not just as part of the assignments and so on within the course itself, but in the future as well. For example, do you see the course helping you with maybe in the next 5 years in your professional practice? You also need to show a motivation and a willingness to engage with the academic literature. So it is a master's level course where you'll be learning about quite complex assessment concepts. So we need to know that you're motivated to work independently on those particular topics and to engage with things like the forum as well. So demonstrating perhaps where you've done that before in any previous learning, and also what your interests are, your specific interests in educational assessment, to let us know that you're fully engaged with the premise of the course. Similarly to that, we're interested to know about your ability to work independently and collaboratively. So whilst you will be working independently for a lot of the time, you'll have to collaborate with your supervisors and with other fellow students. So we want to know about that as well. And if required, any information about English language qualifications as well, if required, for example, if you're an international student. So the sorts of things that we suggest that you could include as part of your application statement would be what areas of assessment are most interesting or challenging in your professional context. So previous examples in the past have been that people are making some kind of transition from paper-based assessment to digital, or they're wrestling with the challenges of artificial intelligence. So what is challenging to you, and why would this course support your learning and your development in relation to those challenges? You may also want to suggest which option Unit 2A or 2B you would like to study, and why. And again, this may be related to those challenges that we talked about in the previous bullet point. Your initial selection or your ideas about Unit 2A or 2B also give us an indication that you've looked in detail about the course content itself, which is always useful for us to know that you fully explored the unit topic ideas. What work and development opportunities do you think the course will give you in the future? So similar to my point before, what do you think in the next 5 years or so you'd be interested in changing within your organization for the better? Also, give us any experience of courses or qualifications that show that you could potentially work at master's standard in the topic of educational assessment. So this may be your undergraduate degree or any courses that you've taken that are of master's level before. You may also have some other courses. So the Cambridge Assessment Network offers a range of courses on educational assessment. So if you have taken some of those and you've completed them, feel free to put that information in, because again, that gives us a strong indication about your interest in educational assessment, but also at the same time, because those courses are online and you have to work independently and so on, it gives us a strong indication of your ability to work independently. And then finally, any information that you again have about your English knowledge and skills. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an indication about the sorts of things that we're looking for as the applications review team in relation to the course itself. Uh, just very quickly to go through some of the frequently asked questions. So, as I mentioned before, students are often asking about how many hours a week do they have to commit to the course itself. And as a rule of thumb, now it can vary from week to week, in particular when assignments are due, that there are 32 teaching weeks and 3 assignments. So it's around 5 to 6 study hours per contact week. And then outside of the contact weeks, as you're working on the assignments, it may be possibly slightly less, but possibly slightly more, depending on how much progress you've made in relation to the assignments during the contact weeks. Another question is, do I need to attend the day schools? So whilst they're not compulsory in terms of if you were to miss one, um, you wouldn't fail the course. It's obviously a very important part of the overall value of the course itself. So I would say that you should plan to attend all the day schools. Now, of course, you may be ill, or there may be some emergency and so on that means that you can't attend a particular day school. We do have online tutors that are able to look after you in a pastoral sense and so on as you're going through the course itself. So one thing to prepare for if you are going to miss a day school is to let the unit tutor know, so they can plan ahead and give you the information that you need so you're not missing out too much from the day school experience. Another question is, can I pay my fees in installments? And this can be arranged with the finance team at the Faculty of Education. And that's the email address to inquire about the possibility of paying in installments as part of the process. I know it can be quite expensive, so one of the things to think about is that maybe it can be spread over that 15-month period. And another question we get asked is, can the 90 credits from this course for people who successfully complete it, um, can you transfer those credits from one course to the other? And you potentially can, and you certainly can within the University of Cambridge. So if you're going to top up your 90 credits to complete the full masters within the Faculty of Education, that is automatically portable from one course to the next. If you're looking to work with another institution, you have to check with that institution whether they accept the 90 credits that you've taken from the University of Cambridge. So it's the hosting institution's decision fundamentally, unfortunately. Um, some students come to us who haven't had an undergraduate degree or a full undergraduate degree, but they have professional experience. Perhaps they've been working within an assessment context for a certain period of time. And we consider these on a case-by-case basis. So it depends a little bit on the type of experience that you've had. So within your application, try and make your case. So list your professional experience, any qualifications that you've had, such as diplomas and so on, that are at an undergraduate level, if not the full undergraduate degree. And also try and indicate your motivation and willingness to engage with the academic literature. Another question we often get is, do I need to have a formal English language qualification? So if you do have a formal English language qualification, please send it through as part of the application in terms of the supporting documents. Generally speaking, things around IELTS level 7 is desirable, just to because the nature of the language is quite complex because it's academic language. And I've mentioned a few times the transition from our course to the full master's degree. So this is the link for you to find out more about those options to you. Some students plan to go through to the whole masters as part of their planning of their professional development, whereas some students just take our course as a first instance and then explore the options later. So we have both types of student come to the course for us. And then finally, are there any discounts or scholarships available? There aren't any at this particular time. The fees are set by the University Graduate Office, so there are no discounts available at this stage. So hopefully that's clarified that as well. So if you want to find out more, we've got our web landing page for you to find out more information about things like the day schools, when they are, and other key information. You can also contact us if you wish to at the network at cambridgeassessment.org.uk. So hopefully there's lots of areas where you get more information as and when you need it. So hopefully that's been useful for everyone. I'm just going to look at the questions as they're coming through. So I'll just have a quick look now. Okay. Okay. So I've had a question from Adam here about could we have some more information or a link about which master's courses are eligible to put the credits towards? So that was the link that I showed you just on the previous slide. But there are essentially 4 options for you in terms of where you could port your 90 credits to the 180 credit course. So the first one is, and probably the most popular one from our students' perspective, is one called Transforming Practice. So that is an education. Sorry, it's connected to educational assessment, but it's really to do with leadership and practice within your organization. And I would say, as a general rule, there's probably about four or five students out of a cohort of around 30 that go on to begin that transforming practice course. There's also one on educational leadership, which is the second option. That's not currently running this year, but I believe, or I'm told that it, by the time students have completed the 24-25 cohort in December 25, that educational leadership course will be back up and running again. And then there's two that are more specific. So there's one on mathematics education, and there's another one on primary education as well. So then maybe a slightly more specialist, and generally speaking, have a smaller cohort as well. So there's currently four options that are directly portable at this stage at the faculty. So hopefully that's the answer that question. So Adnan's asked about the what the day schools are. So yeah, thank you, Adnan, for that question. So the day schools themselves are online run. So they run between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. UK time. So we have had international students in the past that have come from all the way from Argentina. So they're starting at 6 a.m. their time, and on the other side, Australia, where they're starting quite late in the evening. So it's a 6 hour period during the UK working day. And the day schools themselves are a mixture. It varies depending on which day school it is. So in the first day school, there's an element of welcoming and induction, learning about some of the key features of the course itself. There's then introductions to the library and the resources and support that's available to you there. But the key part of the day schools themselves are a discussion forum where we talk about some of the key content that's going to be followed up in the course content in the online portal and the virtual learning environment. So we may have discussions about the different definitions of validity, some of the issues and debates in relation to artificial intelligence and so on. We also have a range of guest speakers. So these are eminent educational researchers that are interested in educational assessment, and they bring us some of their latest thinking. So we've had guest speakers from around the world on some of the key topics related to educational assessment fairness, again AI related topics or digital assessment as well, and that can vary year to year. So the guest speakers can definitely change depending on the interest that the students have shown throughout the course up to that point. So there's quite a lot of variety in terms of the types of tasks and activities that you take part in as a student on the day schools. So you've also asked Adnan about what would be better to opt for, PGCE or the Postgraduate Advanced Certificate in Educational Assessment. And I would say that if you're looking to become a UK qualified teacher, the PGCE is the kind of standard approach to doing that. The PACES course itself is often targeted at people that perhaps already have a PGCE who are working as teachers in some context, so whether that's in the UK or internationally. However, those qualification systems work within those particular formats. So often the teachers that attend our course and join our course are looking to specialize in relation to the topics like assessment for learning. They know that that's something that is of interest within their school or personally, and they need to develop that expertise to essentially improve classroom practice, because as we know, assessment for learning itself isn't just something, it's not just an event, it's a process. So actually picking up the skills in relation to feedback, setting good questions and so on, the sorts of things that are covered within Unit 2B on assessment for learning is fundamental to good teaching practice. So it's often seen as the next step beyond the classroom, the standard classroom practice of becoming a teacher. So I think I've answered all the questions that have come in so far. There's just a question from Rob. Will the day school schedule be available before applications are made? Yes. So the dates are available on the website, and they're not due to change. So the first day schools are on the 4th and 5th of October. I believe the February one is the 6th of February, and the final one's I think the 8th of September. So they're reasonably spread apart, and they're all on Saturday, apart from the very first one on the 4th of October. We made that decision just so people we're not interrupting people's working week too much. So that's the key dates, and they're on the website for reference if you need them. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so Adnan, I think I've addressed that question more or less in terms of the added value. So whilst it's the PACES course isn't a requirement to become a teacher in the UK, it's one of the key routes to you becoming a senior leader within the course, within the structure of a particular school. So a lot of the teachers that attend the postgraduate course or our course are often in that kind of middle leader, so assistant head teacher, maybe head of department and so on, that are looking to develop their qualifications portfolio to help them become more senior leaders within their school, or indeed in another institution. So hopefully that clarifies that for you. Okay. So if you have any
Sorry,
more
Simon,
questions.
just to interrupt quickly. Just had another question, which I believe you've already answered, but just to reinforce about, are there any bursaries or partial bursaries available? That was from Zianda.
Oh, sorry, if I missed that question. Yeah, thank you for that. Unfortunately, we don't have any bursaries at this time. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the fees are determined by the central university, and we don't have any provision at this stage or funding to offer scholarships or bursaries. So we have managed to agree with the faculty that payments could be spread out over time to kind of soften the financial burden and spread the payments. That's all we've got available at this moment in time, I'm afraid. But yeah, thank you for your question, and thanks for notifying me, Andy. I missed that one. Does anyone have any further questions? If I'll just give you a moment to type them down if indeed you're doing so. So whilst you're doing that, I'll just finish up by saying thank you for taking the time to come to this session today, and hopefully you found it useful going forward. If you do have any questions, as I mentioned before, you can use the network at cambridgeassessment.org.uk to get any clarifications that you may need before putting your applications forward. But if there's no more questions coming through, we can give you a few more minutes of your busy schedules back to you, and I look forward to seeing your hopefully seeing your applications in July when they come through the portal. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck with your applications.